The Makers in Minnesota holiday gift box is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I'm Stephanie Hansen, and the whole reason I do the podcast is to introduce people to the cool maker scene happening in the Twin Cities. I love being the one to tell you to buy the soda crackler candles because they smell amazing, or to try the nuts of the north from Isadore Nuts because not only will they be the best chai nuts you've ever had, but 50% of her workforce are people with disabilities. Tasha's company is helping people reach their goals by teaching them life skills, and that's not something you might know just looking at the package. Bear Honey is all about the bees, of course, but I specifically chose their vanilla and hot honeys as they are wonderful for baking or on a cheese board. And Lost Capital Hot Sauce is a fermented sauce. These guys are so entertaining to listen talk about hot sauce, and they mentor other sauce creators in town to share the love. K-Mama's sauce, Korean ketchup, has long been a favorite of mine, as has Heather's Dirty Goodness seasoning that adorns my Thanksgiving turkey every year. Even something as simple as fresh peanut butter turns into magic when you add apples and cinnamon, and it's 100% fresh, no preservatives. Cheryl has made this batch just for me and for you, and Gustola Granola has been a personal favorite of mine for a long time, as well as BT McElrath's Salty Dog Bites and their Annie B caramels. Even sponges are superior when made in Minnesota, right? And if you haven't tried biltong yet, you know, the jerky that is marinated with 6 timeless ingredients that are then air-dried and thinly sliced to perfection with no added sugars. The result is a truly authentic Minnesota-made snack by way of Southern Africa, and the first 150 boxes sold will find a bonus bag in their box. All of the products in the Makers in Minnesota box were curated by me due to their tastiness or the stories that made them uniquely Minnesotan. And each of these folks have shared their story with me on the Makers in Minnesota podcast. We're going into our 4th season, and there are lots of boxes you can buy out there to ship to friends and family. But please consider the one that's made in Minnesota and curated by me so you can share the stories through the podcast of these makers. Boxes are $65 and can be found at loveminnesotabox.com/gifting or by the link on my website at stephaniesdish.com, or you can also find links to order on the Makers in Minnesota Facebook page. Delight in 12 Minnesota-made items and share your love of the great maker community in our state and help support the makers that make it great. Boxes are $65 and can be found at loveminnesotabox.com/gifting, or you can also find links to order on the Makers in Minnesota Facebook page. Hello, everybody. This is Stephanie Hansen with the Makers in Minnesota, and we are promoting our holiday gift box. It is a first ever. I've been wanting to do a gift box for many years, and a friend of mine said, you know, I would be happy to put the box together for you if you could just tell me who the makers are that would be great to put in it. And I put together a list of 11 makers, and then we put something in there from the Makers in Minnesota podcast too. And Angela Gustafson was high on my list with Gustola Granola. Angela, when do you think you and I first met?
Oh my goodness. I think we first met at a cooking class in the global market.
Okay.
And it was Jack Rival. It was like a rivalry between 2 chefs. I can't remember who the other one was.
Yeah, it was Food Fight was what it was called. And it was Stephanie March's event with Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine. Gosh, that is a long time ago.
Right. I think that might have been it.
So you are the maker of Gustola Granola, and granola is kind of I don't want to say it's a weird thing because it's not weird, but you know, there are a lot of people that have homemade recipes, and your granola, when I had it for the first time, stood out to me right away, particularly the cherry almond granola, which is what is in the box, because I just love dried cherries. I love the almonds. I love that it was full of clusters and it really tasted homemade. And, you know, up until then, I'd been basically eating grocery store granola that sometimes tastes like, you know, the dust from the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
What was it about your granola that made you decide hey, this is something I want to make a company out of?
Well, Going back just a little bit, it started as a solution to a craving, as I just wanted a yummy, healthy post-run snack because I run every morning. And I started playing around with recipes. And because I was kind of like you, underwhelmed with what was available on grocery store shelves. And I, at one point, used a combination of egg whites, olive oil, and maple syrup. And the egg whites, there was just something about that it just produced this incredible, something really different and special. And so, our family got addicted to it. And then, like all good Midwesterners do, right, I started sharing with friends and family and coaches and teachers, and just the uncanny number of people that were saying, there's something special about this granola. You should do something with it. And that's when I decided to just, engage my 4 kids in a fun summer business adventure and take it, to our local farmers market. So that's how it got started.
And fast forward, aren't almost all of your kids out of the house now?
They are. Yes. I have 1 high schooler in the nest. She's a senior. Otherwise, 3 out in the college, or 1 just graduated. Yes.
And I suppose from a family perspective, you learned a lot as a family about having this family business. I mean, most of the kids have worked in the business, right?
Yes, they've all helped in varying degrees. Yes, but whether they like it or not, right?
I was going to say, do they still want to eat their granola?
They do. And I ship it to all the colleges, and yes, and their friends are all fans. And so, yeah, it's been just a really fun ride.
That's great. Well, I wanted to include you in the box because I think that the product is tremendous, but it's also, whenever I eat it, I kind of think about your family. Your packaging is really cute. I think about the kids working at the farmers markets when you first started. It feels, I don't know why, but your product feels real personal to me because I feel like I'm supporting your family when I buy it at the grocery store. Like I know your family, I know you. And I want people to experience just the great makers that we have in this state. You've been a big partner of the maker market too. Like I know you're friends with lots of makers. And what does it mean to have that camaraderie of other makers and support and help?
I think that's what keeps a lot of us in it, right? It's just the friends and such super cool people that are really passionate, I think, about things that align with my values, right? And we're all really trying to stay in this, really challenging industry. It's tough for these small brands to break through, not only just, into retail, but to continue to grow. And so, yeah, it's been really fun. And Stephanie, I just want to say thanks because yes, you have been a supporter for a long time. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to be in this box.
Thanks. I really appreciate having you. And if you want to taste Gustola granola, you can find her. You're at Hy-Vee, you're at Kowalski's. Where else are you?
Lunds and Byerly's and the co-ops. And this is always so dangerous because, right, I'm going to forget somebody. That would be really bad. But I think a good way to think about it is a lot of the locally owned grocery retailers here, we're there.
Okay.
So, Minnesota has been in Coburn's. And so, right, these retailers in Minnesota have been just huge supporters of local, and it's allowed us to grow.
So when you get your box and you eat this bag of granola and you're dying to get more, because you will be, that's where you can find it. Thank you so much, Angela.
Hey, thanks, Stephanie. So fun.
All right.
All right.